Oh, hello. Welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to give you my take on the newly revealed Voidscarred Corsairs, which is an upcoming bespoke team for Kill Team. So I'm going to go through each of the models that Games Workshop previewed one by one, and I'm going to give you all the information I've been able to piece together, both from what Games Workshop themselves have said, plus some leaks that are going around relating to the Eldar Codex in 40k, where we can draw some inferences about what weapons each of the models is supposed to be armed with. So the leader, at least in 40k, he's referred to as a Felarch. He's armed with a Neuro Disruptor and a Power Sword. I'd be willing to bet he can take a standard Shuriken pistol instead of his Neuro Disruptor if you want, but nobody will. But in the same way that almost everything in Kill Team seems to be given the option to take inferior weapons if it's in the kit. I've included the Neuro Disruptor and the power weapon stat lines from the Harlequin's Compendium team. Now, they could change things. I'm drawing a lot of inferences from the material that we have available to give people the best overview possible of everything we know about the team. But we know from things that have come out, I think it was the chainswords in the Genestealer Cult White Dwarf that had a different stat line to other chainswords that we've seen, so it could be that even though it's called a Neuro Disruptor, its rules totally change. But as it stands, that's what he has. So it'd be pretty similar to a Harlequin troop leader once he gets into combat. That's cool. Then we've got the Wayseeker. Again, the names come from the 40k leak. It's some kind of psyker. Don't have any information on what kind of psychic power they're going to have. Armed with something called a Witch Staff, which will probably be okay in combat. There's something called a Soulweaver. So people have said the Soulweaver is probably some kind of medic. I would be surprised if it's just a carbon copy of the same medic rule that everybody else gets. It might be because Kill Team is a game, and for gameplay reasons, it makes a lot of sense to have the standard medic ability. But she doesn't actually look like she runs around healing injured Corsairs. She's clearly going around collecting their spirit stones so that they don't fall into the enemy hands, so they can be brought back to take to whatever Corsairs do with their stones, whatever they plug them into. But maybe it's some kind of aura. According to the leaks in 40k, it's ignore the first failed save for the unit while this model is alive. So maybe it's some kind of protective aura themed around the other Corsairs fighting more recklessly, because they know that the Soulweaver will rescue their immortal soul, so while she's within a certain radius they'll fight more recklessly. I don't know. But yeah, that's the Soulweaver. That's a really nice miniature, actually. I really like that one. The Kernite Hunter, who we've talked about before, who was the one previewed by Games Workshop earlier, he has a falcon, or a fallow crew, if you want to use the space falcon. Yeah, space falcon. And we know from Warhammer community what he does with his space falcon. So it uncovers enemy operatives that have used a conceal order to escape your kill team's gaze. It's hard to hide from an eye in the sky. That's pretty cool, pretty powerful. It sounds a little bit similar to what Pathfinders can do, but at least it's limited to doing it with one model, with one falcon to one enemy model to flip their order over. That's pretty cool. It'll be a good way to dislodge enemy snipers at range, potentially, depending on what the range actually is on the Unleash Bird ability. But if it hasn't got a limited range, it'd be a really good way of dislodging enemy snipers, right, who are sniping with silent weapons. The Shade Runner. So it'll be a combat specialist with some kind of bespoke combat weapons. They are given a name in the 40k leak, but it doesn't equate to anything we've already seen, so it'll be some bespoke weapons with a profile that's balanced for Kill Team. I was watching Glass's rundown of these. He reckons that's a Warp Spider backpack. There's nothing in the 40k leak to suggest that the figure has any kind of teleporting ability, but it could be. That'd be cool. I agree that would be cool. She does have something on her back. Could be a teleport pack. I don't know. Yeah, so some kind of combat specialist anyway. Whether or not she can teleport. The Starstorm Duelist. So this is the other one that Warhammer community actually told us about officially. He can blast away at engagement range thanks to his quick on the trigger ability. So it's still going to be a close combat attack because we've seen how these work in other teams when you can use a, I think it's the Compendium Tau. The stealth suits can use a thing to use their guns in close combat. When you do that, you still operate like a close combat attack, so you lose the benefit of that AP2. So it would be, 4 dice hitting on 2s, and then you'd roll, and your opponent would get to parry you in the same way, but you would get that Mortal Wounds 3 on a crit, which is nice. But it's effectively going to be a most effective when it gets to shoot you, but then if it finds itself in combat, still getting to attack in combat is pretty good. Right, and then we've gone to somewhere we don't know what these are going to be called. I'm sure they're going to have really fancy names in Kill Team. So we've got a Corsair with a Ranger long rifle. So just to remind you there, I've given you the Ranger long rifle from the Compendium. It's a silent sniper. They come in. It's worth saying we've got so little of a picture of what makes up the team. I'm sure there could easily be some tack op or something to make that sniper have a bit more punch when you need it, because right now being able to do 4 damage on a crit isn't maybe the most impressive thing. Well, no, because you roll 4 dice. Yeah, yeah, maybe it is what it is. As I say, we might not have the full picture because you don't know how tactical objectives are going to interact with the models, but it's nice to have a sniper. It seems like a pretty standard addition to most bespoke kill teams, some kind of silent sniper that can sit at the back and snipe. And then we've got a Corsair with a Shredder, so this is going over to the Dark Eldar Compendium team now to pull out the Shredder profile. The Shredder is pretty interesting, so it's got the 3/4 damage, it's on a 3, 5 dice, and it's got that blast, so it's great at clearing things that are clustered together. But not as exciting as the next thing that we're going to look at, I think, which is the Blaster. Now, anyone that's played Compendium Dark Eldar knows that the Blaster is an amazing weapon. It's basically a melter gun but without the hobble of the infinite range, so it's got infinite range instead. So on a crit, you're doing 6 damage with AP2. That's really a fantastic weapon. That's definitely going to be being taken in every single game that you play with these guys in Kill Team. And then we've got a Corsair with a Shuriken cannon. So the Shuriken cannon was available to Craftful Eldar, but only on the little platform thing. This is a man-portable Shuriken cannon. So if it has the same stats, it's a heavy weapon, 4/5 damage, 5 dice hitting on 3s with rending as well. That's a pretty solid choice. And and the only other thing I will mention is that there's probably going to be basic Corsairs as well. From what we've seen in 40k, they're going to have the option to take Shuriken catapults or power swords and Shuriken pistols. So that would make the box function a lot like the Novitiates box, where you can build all the specialists, or you can build them as a more basic squad with the basic weapons. I don't think that they will see the table in Kill Team in much the same way that the Novitiates with auto guns or auto pistols and power swords don't really see the table. So that's good though, because it means that we've seen 10 specialists and we've seen the 40k rule set, and so it looks like, unlike the Novitiates, where you've kind of got enough to build the specialists, but then you don't build any flamers, but then you actually want to take the flamers, so you end up needing to buy a second box to get 2 flamers. This might actually be a true 1-box team where your 10 Corsairs give you the 10 models that you're going to want for every single matchup. Because unless it turns out there's some reason to roster in the basic ones with the catapults or the pistols and swords, and that could be really positive for that sort of part of the meta which I've talked about before, about how hobby can affect the meta, where things that are easy to get into get played more, and then people get better results with them because there's more people playing them. That's basically it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. So just a few final things. The first one is Yep, slow news. These came out a couple of days ago, and I thought about making a video, but I'm trying to really keep to my schedule of doing the 3 videos a week on Friday, Wednesday, and Sunday. So I decided not to make an extra video where I put this up, and it was a good job that I didn't, I suppose, because all the information that I've gleaned from the 40k leaks that I've been able to add into this video weren't actually up straight away. Whoever is leaking them is clearly leaking stuff to go along with, like, obviously they didn't want to. I think whoever's leaking them is probably connected to Games Workshop in some way. I don't ask me if this sounds a bit too much like tin foil, but I think they must be connected to Games Workshop in some way, because they waited until the models had been revealed and then the datasheet was leaked out, so that now it talked a little bit about them after we'd already seen what weapons they were armed with. If it had happened the other way around, we'd have known, oh, well, there's definitely going to be a Psyker in the unit. Oh, well, there's definitely going to be a guy with 2 pistols in the unit. So just an interesting little wrinkle there about leaks. Something I wanted to touch on, and I'll be doing a full video after Nachman has come out, about where this leaves my predictions, because you'll remember that Games Workshop initially guaranteed that we were going to do 4 big boxes every quarter this year. I don't think we're going to see another Eldar team of any flavour of Eldar in the next 3 teams. So the next big box and the next White Dwarf release aren't going to be Eldar. I think that having picked elements up from Corsairs and from Craftworld and from Dark Eldar, the designers are probably going to take the view that everybody that likes Eldar have got an Eldar bespoke team that they can play. They're going to focus on other things. I'm going to do a video saying exactly what I think those are going to be and why I think they're going to be once we know a little bit more about Nachman and what the actual second team is in the Nachman box. I just want to flag up 2 things. So going through them in this way and showing everything we do know, and those weapons profiles can make them seem quite dry and not very exciting. You know, imagine how you would feel if I'd done the same thing for novitiates, when we could see what they were armed with, and I could pull in the things and say, well, one arm's like this, one arm is like this, one arm like this, but we'd know nothing about how Faith was going to work. So we don't know what kind of overarching team-wide special rules or gimmicks that they're going to have, and those kinds of special rules or gimmicks, depending on the team, can really make the team think about faith points for the novitiates, thinking about marker lights for the pathfinders. Those kinds of things are really important. Likewise, you can have a really strong team without a kind of overriding gimmick. Think about commandos. They only really have the little, oh yeah, they can charge from conceal, but they're just really strong individually. But we don't know their stat lines, how many wounds they have, how much armor they have, and yes, we can make a guess at these things. But yeah, I think that they will end up being a pretty competitive team. Just looking at the tools they have, the fact they have the melter gun and a sniper and a psyker, they have all these things that you would pick out from certainly from various compendium teams and go, oh well, that's the thing that makes this compendium team good, and that's the thing that this compendium team good. It's kind of like all, you know, it's all amazing stuff with no filler in there at all. So that's, you know, really likely to be positive, which is good. I also want to touch on, we don't really know that much about the Nachman box yet. We know these 10 miniatures are going to be in there. We don't know a lot about the terrain. I did scrub through the video that Games Workshop posted, squinting at the terrain in their background. There's one particular shot of the guy with the Ranger sniper rifle in cover where the terrain's actually in focus. It's the Challenath terrain in a slightly different configuration, but it is just those Imperial ruins again. I don't think they're going to give us another box set with those Imperial ruins. My money, for what it's worth, is still that it's going to come with Deathworld Forest, because again, you got those Eldar ruins in the Deathworld Forest set, and these guys have got the kind of greeny armor, and they probably look quite good in the Deathworld Forest set, especially if the studio team decides to paint the ruins in a kind of white wraithbone colour within the Deathworld Forest. I think that would look pretty cool. So that's what I am expecting still. And the last thing I want to ask is, and let me know this in the comments, What do you think of the models themselves? Because I haven't really given you my commentary on the models. I think they look great. There's just something about them. I personally don't want to own them. I personally am not. I don't have that feeling that I get when I look at so many Games Workshop releases where I go, ooh, I have to have that one. I haven't got that particular feeling about them. I think I don't like the bald heads at the top knots, right? Which is absolutely fine. It's a great rare thing and a privilege not to necessarily want every single thing that Games Workshop releases. Happily, Mrs. Tabletop Impulse really likes them, so that is actually brilliant because it means that when we buy the box, because we're inevitably going to buy the box, she can claim that team without any squabbling, because squabbling is bad. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please click the like button. If you would like more videos like this, then subscribe to the channel. If you've watched a couple of my videos already and you're not subscribed, please just consider doing that because it really helps out new channels. It helps us to grow and get seen by more people. That's really positive as well. There's a link down in the description box for the Discord server. If you want to buy things off Element Games, even though Knackland isn't out yet, that's all there as well. Thanks. I hope you have a really great rest of your day. And thanks for watching, guys. Cheerio.